night. The next morning, the Lord gave us a verse. Psalm 51 says, I desire truth in your innermost being, and in that hidden part, I will impart wisdom. I will give wisdom. What God was saying is, but I desire truth there first. I can't give wisdom to you unless there's truth there. And it's no wonder I didn't have wisdom in my life. So we set out at that point to be 100% honest with one another, to bring everything to the light. Whatever came to our mind, we were going to confess it to one another, even if it was something from the past that had been told before and discussed and talked about and prayed before. We were going to bring it to the light. So we knew I needed to talk to the children. So I set all the kids down in the living room that night, and I remember getting on my knees in front of them and asking them, would they please forgive their father, because I had had moral failure in my life. I said, I have had lust and masturbation in my life, pornography. I have hurt your mother very deeply. I have lied to her, and I have hid my sin. Would you please forgive me? And our children, most of them, not all of them, were weeping because they've never seen Dad cry before. And at this point, I was crying. They said, yes, Dad, we'll forgive you. They all forgave us.
You can imagine, after believing all these years that I was married to this perfect man, that when Paul began to confess his sin to me, I was devastated. I thought I was the problem. Not only did I think I was the problem, I had been told that I was the problem. Every time that we would go to counseling, we had gone to counselors at least 3 times in our marriage because I knew something was wrong. I couldn't put my finger on it. I didn't know what it was. I just knew something was wrong. And every time we would go, it was always the same outcome. The counselor, the pastor would always look at me and say, I don't get it. You are married to a really nice guy. He's a great guy. Your expectations of him are way too high. Jenny, you're expecting way too much from him. And I would get this over and over and over, and I would leave the counseling sessions and just feel so horrible. Again, it was me. It was me. But yet there was still something inside me that said, no, something is not right, and it's not all you. But as Paul said, he would lie over and over. And so when he came and he began to tell me this, all of a sudden the light went off. I was so, in one sense, relieved to know about the sin, because now I knew what was wrong. For 14 years of not knowing what was wrong, now I knew. And all of a sudden I began to connect the dots and understand. I had a real problem with immoral dreams, and I hated it. For years I would have immoral dreams, and they were always the same. They were Paul having an affair with another woman. And so I would wake him up the next morning and I would be weeping. I'd say, I had another one of those dreams. And so he, being the godly man, would say, oh, honey, I'm so sorry. Let me pray for you. And the whole time he wasn't realizing it was because of his sin, that the Lord had allowed the tormentors to come in. And as I began to confess my sin before the Lord and ask Him to break me also, it wasn't just Paul that needed to be broken, I needed to be broken. I had one woman tell me, a lady whose husband had committed adultery with 4 different women. This woman said to me, with tears streaming down her face, God used my husband's sin to show me my sin of self-righteousness and pride. What an incredible statement. And God did the same in my life as He began to break me and show me that I was a very prideful, arrogant woman. I wanted everybody to look at us and see us as the perfect family. That meant more to me than anything else. And so God began to break me. And as God broke Paul, He began to bring such a healing in our marriage. I began to see this broken man, and I wanted nothing more than to get under him. I wanted to submit to him. A broken man, a wife won't turn from a broken husband. Children will not turn away from a broken daddy. We've seen it over and over and over. People come to us and they want to tell us about all their kids' problems, their kids' rebellion. And so we say, well, can we talk about you?
And men, if you want to find true brokenness, you've got to be willing to commit to 100% honesty. Not 99%, I'll tell everything but this, because as Jenny said, that's where the grace stops. We've got to be willing to do whatever it takes. Brokenness, in and of itself, will not come just because you're open, but you'll never find brokenness before the Lord without being open. You've got to come to that place first.